Swifter, welcome back. It's Professor Gallagher, and this is our first app in the series to build a to-do list app in SwiftUI. We're going to up our game with this app, learning many more intermediate and advanced concepts, and we'll learn better app design and code organization as well. Now, even though we're going to be learning a lot in this series, we'll bite off just a bit at a time so it's not too overwhelming. And in this first lesson in this series, we're going to cover the basics of using the navigation stack and navigation links to navigate to new iOS screens in SwiftUI. We'll navigate using standard navigation links and with buttons, and we'll show how to navigate back automatically with a built-in back button and how to hide that button and override this programmatically with the environment dismiss variable. Let's navigate to big learning. So let's start Xcode and create a new project. Click Create a New Xcode Project, always exciting. And as usual, this is a new iOS app. Press Return. Project name should be To-Do List, no spaces. I'm going to write that in upper camel case. And this is, of course, a SwiftUI app. Even though we're going to be using Swift data and there is an option for that under storage, we're going to avoid that option. That just gives us a bunch of stuff that we don't need, so I'll advise you to ignore that option when using Swift data. And we won't be showing testing in this app, so we can leave that unchecked too. Press Return. Make sure Create Git Repository is checked. Click Create. I'll resize my screen, hide the inspectors, and let's get to it. Now, since we're going to be working with multiple project files in this project, I'm going to change the name of the generic content view that Xcode gives me to something that I think is more descriptive of this app. We haven't done this before, but it's super easy to do. In the content view file, I'm just going to right-click on the name content view just to the right of struct. I'll select refactor, then rename. Xcode folds to show me everywhere that this name is mentioned. Then I can type the new name. Since this is going to hold my to-do list view, my list of to-do items, I'm just going to rename this to-do list view, all one word, upper camel case. Press Return, and not only did this rename things in my code files, it also renamed the file in my project navigator. Nice. And if I head over to the app file, to-do list app, we can see where it used to say content view inside the window group, it now creates a new to-do list view. Cool. So back over to to-do list view, the only thing that didn't change are the comments. You don't need to change those, but if you want, you can just copy the name from the struct, paste it over the comment to complete the renaming, and now let's build. I'll size to fit my preview, and now let's create code that will navigate to a new view when clicked. Now, if you want to do this, navigate to a new screen, then we need to wrap our code that will handle navigation inside what's called a navigation stack. Now, code completion says with navigation stack that this is a view that displays the root view, that's where we start navigating from, and enables you to present additional views over the root. That's what we want. So press Return to accept this, add curlies, cut out our VStack, paste it between the navigation stack's curlies, and we'll cut out the generic globe image. We don't need that. Now, to actually navigate to a view, we need to wrap the name of the view we want to navigate to inside of a navigation link, which is inside of our navigation stack. So stack first, which we added, then enter a navigation link. We've got lots of options in here. Choose the one that says destination and label. Code completion says that it creates a navigation link that presents a destination view, just what we want. Press Return to accept this, and I'll press Return to get the trailing closure formats. Now, this first part is where we put in our destination. Now, we can add any view as our destination, even something as simple as a text view. So we'll do that to start out. But whatever we have in here is going to present in its own separate screen. So I'm just going to enter text, passing in, welcome to the new view. Then in the curlies below this, we're going to give the label to our link. Now let's start by making a simple text view as the link. We can get fancier in just a bit. And in text, I'm going to pass in show the new view. And I forgot to delete my hello world text down here. I don't need that. And we see by default, iOS highlights the navigation link in blue. This is the default accent color it also uses with buttons. So click this, and hey, I see that a new screen migrates in from the right. I'm welcome to my new view. That's the view that we set up in the destination curlies area of the navigation link. I get this cool back button automatically in the upper left-hand corner. Click that bad boy, and you're back to where you started. Congrats, Swifter! You are now multi-screen navigating. Now we can jazz up our label if we want. It used to be harder to work with buttons in a navigation link, but now it's much easier. All we need to do down here in the label area is to set up whatever we want to put in as our button label. So I'm going to add an image above the text view. I'm going to pass in the system name using the string IEYE in lowercase. I get my little eye icon showing up, and one of the ways SwiftUI has made navigation links easier is that we can now treat our label as if they're a button. We can add a button style below the navigation link curlies. I'll do that with .button style, passing in .border prominent, and look at that. We get a navigation link which is now a button. Click this, we continue to move our text view to the new screen. Nice. Now our destination view is just this generic text view, but let's make this a richer destination view screen, and let's extract this view and put it in our own file so that we can better work with this as a separate screen. Extracting complex views into their own file is something you'll see developers do to better organize their code and make things easier to work with. So I'm going to highlight this entire text view, welcome to the new view, and Command X to cut it out. Then I'll open the Project Navigator, and to create a new SwiftUI file, I could right-click in the Navigator and select New File from Template, or I can go up here to the File menu and select New, and then New File from Template. Now, very important, since we're creating a new SwiftUI view, select SwiftUI View in the User Interface row here, then click New, and let's give it a name. We're going to call this Detail View, upper camel case. Notice in the Project Navigator, we now have a new Detail View file, and that's selected. And instead of the generic Hello World, let's highlight that and paste over the text view that we just cut out of the prior view. Now it says, Welcome to the new view. And we see the new view behaves like an entirely new screen, and it's got its own preview at the right. Now let's head back to our original view, which is the To-Do List View file. And in this first set of curlies in our navigation link, this is where we enter our destination. It was previously just that text view, but now we're going to put in the name of the separate SwiftUI view file that we just created and that we want to navigate to. So that's our new destination. So we'll start by typing in detail view here. Code completion knows about this. Select this. We should have the option with the two parens at the end. You can pass values in between the parens. We're not going to do that now, but we will in a future lesson. And now if we look at the live preview, we can still click the button to navigate to this new view even though we're in the to-do list view file. Nice. So we'll return to the to-do list view file whenever we want to simulate our app running from when it starts, since this is the first file in our app. But for now, let's head back to our detail view file and build a snazzier detail view. So inside the body, I'm going to embed the text view in a VStack. I can do that by right-clicking on text and selecting Embed in VStack. Then above the text view, I'm going to add an image with system name Swift, all lowercase. We'll make this resizable and scale to fit and set the foreground style to orange. We're very familiar with these steps from our earlier apps. I'm going to add some padding down below the VStack. I'm going to change the text in the text view to read, You are a Swifty legend. Give this a .font modifier of .large title. I'll set the .multi-line text alignment to .center, and the screen is looking sharper. We now have a VStack, an image, and a text view. So now I'm going to head back to the to-do list view file. I'm going to run the preview from here. I can see my app navigation works fine. Our snazzy new view is showing. Nice. Now, the next thing you might want to do in some of your apps is remove the back button from the upper left and simply rely on buttons to make your navigation happen. Now, this isn't what we're going to be doing in our final to-do list app, but I want to make sure that you've got this skill down before we move on. So first, let's head back to the detail view file. And all we need to do to hide the back button is add a modifier below our VStack. I'll do this just below the VStack's .padding modifier with a .navigation bar back button hidden modifier. Code completion says this hides the navigation bar back button from the view. Yep, that's what we want. Press return. The default is to hide this so nothing passes between the parens, but if we head back to the to-do list view and check the preview from the beginning, we see there is now no back button in the detail view, which is cool, but we've got no way to navigate back. So let's add this in a custom button. So now under my text view in the detail view, I'll add spacer and a button. The option with title and action is fine. For the title, I'll just write get back. Then tab over to action and press return to get the trailing closure. But we need to do a bit of setup here. Navigating back isn't super straightforward, but the steps are the same anytime you'll need to do this when you don't have a back button. First, inside the struct, we're going to create a variable with an @environment property wrapper. So enter @environment, then right after this, no space, in between parentheses, we'll write \dismiss. All lowercase, no spaces. So this will create a way for us to dismiss our current screen. Code completion says this is of type dismiss action, and it's an action that dismisses the current presentation. And we'll need to set this to a private var, and we'll name this dismiss, again, lowercase. Now this is admittedly a really weird variable set up in Swift. SwiftUI sets this particular variable up so it's called like a function. So down between the curlies of the button action, we'll write dismiss, same as above, lowercase, but follow this with open and close parentheses just like a function. And those are the 2 lines we need to write to dismiss a screen in SwiftUI. Follow these steps like a recipe anytime you need to do this. So now let's try this out. And just to remind you, the keyboard shortcut to toggle the Project Navigator open and closed is just Command 0. Head back to the to-do list view, click the Show a New View button. We'll navigate to the detail view, and we see a Get Back button down below. Does this work? Let's click it. And look at that, you Swifty skilled one. You're programmatically navigating back to an earlier view. Nice work. So now I'm going to head back to my detail view file, and I'll add a button style of border prominent to the Get Back button just to snazz it up a bit. So now that we know about navigation stacks, navigation links, and the environment dismiss variable, this is a good place for us to take a break. In our next lesson, we're going to cover lists in SwiftUI, various ways to format lists, and how to pass static data from one screen to another. Keep hacking, Swifter. I'm proud of your progress. Code on.